Hey everyone, Zach Lerno here with Sunrise Law Group, and oftentimes when we're talking about an elder abuse case or elder neglect case, the elder or individual that's been harmed is usually or can be incapacitated. And what do I mean by that? Usually they don't have their faculties or can't speak for themselves or make reasoned decisions, and that's often why they're sometimes in a situation where they can be subject to abuse or neglect. And in that situation, a critical question for us as the attorneys, and also for you for advocating for an elder person in that situation, is who can institute the lawsuit? Who can file the lawsuit on behalf of that person? And so let's start with our first step. If you have a power of attorney over that individual, you could potentially file a lawsuit on their behalf and advocate for them. As you see here, I have maybe. There are many different types of power of attorneys. Some may have restrictions on what the person can or cannot do. It may all just be subject to their healthcare decisions and things like that. Here at Sunrise Law Group, we'd have to review that power of attorney to see if that would grant someone the authority to bring, quote unquote, a lawsuit on behalf of an incapacitated person. So start, first of all, was a power of attorney done? Maybe it grants that authority. What always grants that authority? Here in Louisiana, it's called an interdiction, and in other states, that's called the guardianship process. So essentially, if there is no power of attorney, or if a power of attorney didn't grant the power to an individual to bring a lawsuit or advocate on their behalf, you would go through the interdiction process, and that's when you are asking the court to grant you power. Whoever is deemed to be the best person to care for that individual, they will essentially be appointed as here in Louisiana, we call it the curator. So essentially they're appointed as the court-ordered power of attorney and guardian over that person. And from that process, an individual can bring a lawsuit. Jane Doe, on behalf of her father, John Smith, as the curator ad hoc, on his behalf, can bring that lawsuit. So it's a critical element when it comes to elder abuse cases and neglect. Oftentimes, the individual is an incapacitated person, so being able to procedurally go forward with the case, oftentimes has to be done with an interdiction, something that we handle here often. And then last and finally not least, deadlines always exist throughout the process. And what I mean by that is, in general, for most elder abuse cases, the statute of limitations is always running. So it's important to come to an estate or elder attorney that knows how to do this interdiction process in order to make sure that the case as a whole is not prescribed.